Olá, tudo bem? I'm Emma from Portuguese Language Lessons. In this short video, I'm going to talk you through using these verbs precisar de, ter de, and ver. Very useful way to specify exactly what you mean. So, these are what we call modal or periphrasal verbs, and they're usually followed by other verbs or things, and they give an extra meaning. A lot of these are very similar to English. So ter de is I have to, I must, I'm obliged to. And we always put the action after a verb in the infinitive there, the root form ending in R. So for example, tenho de fazer as compras. I have to do the shopping. Tenho de ir ao Porto. I have to go to Porto. Okay. Precisar de can be very similar, meaning need to, and again it's followed by a verb in the infinitive. This time it could also be a noun or a thing. You could need something. So, for example, preciso de comprar sapatos novos, or preciso de sapatos novos. I need new shoes. Dever is should or ought to, and this is always followed by a verb in the infinitive. So, deve comer menos bolos. You should eat less cakes. Or não deve ir para a cama tão tarde. I shouldn't go to bed so late. So it can be something someone else obliges you to do, or something that you think is very important. Okay, so sometimes this can be very similar to ter de. There's another meaning of dev, meaning probably or must, as in there's a high probability. Again, always about an action. So this could be things like deve ser o João à porta. It must be João at the door. Ela deve estar em casa a essa hora. She's probably at home at that time. So here I'm making a presumption, a probability. Okay. So in English we could use must. Here not obligation but high probability, or I could just say probable. All of these are verbs, so they're conjugated. I can say tenho, tens, temos, têm, preciso, precisamos, deve, devem. Okay, so I can change the form according to who it is that's doing the action. And we can use it in different tenses, the present, the past. Okay, so these verbs can change in ways that if you're thinking about the English words, they don't change, like must and should. Always changes the same. And because if you're following by an action, which you can do for all of these, the second verb is always going to be in the root, in the infinitive form, the form ending in R. So if you think about it in English, if I say he has to go, I don't say he has to goes, like he goes. I use the root form for the second verb because I've already made it clear with the first verb who's doing the action. A quick note is that ter de can also be ter que, and they're used interchangeably by most speakers of Portuguese, native speakers. But technically, ter de is only the only correct one for talking about obligation, as ter que means you have something for something. For example, tenho que comer, I have things to eat. Tenho que estudar, I have things to study. But actually this is news to most Portuguese people. Most Portuguese people use ter que just as easily as ter de, and you'd have to get into an argument grammatically about it. So really, for everyday use, for speaking, both are fine. Okay, so there you go. Some useful little phrases and how we use them. Ciao, ciao!